This story is called The Song of the King by Max Lucado. Illustrations by Chuck Gillies. The three knights sat at a table and listened as their prince spoke. My father, the king, will give the hand of my sister to the first of you who can prove himself worthy. The prince paused to let the men take in the news. He looked at their faces, each weathered from miles and scarred from battles. The three had much in common. They were the strongest warriors in the kingdom, and they each wanted to marry the daughter of the king. The king had promised each a test to see which was worthy of his daughter, and now the time for the test had arrived. The test is a journey, the prince explained, a journey to the king's castle by way of Hemlock. The forest? One knight quickly inquired. The forest, answered the prince. There was silence as the knights thought about the words. Each felt a stab of fear. They knew the danger of Hemlock, a dark and deadly place. Parts of it were so thick with trees that the sunlight never found the ground. It was home of the hope-knots, small, sly creatures with yellow eyes. Hope-knots were not strong, but they were clever and they were many. Some people believed the hope-knots were lost travelers changed by the darkness, but no one really knew for sure. Will we travel alone? Carlyle spoke, a strange question to come from the strongest of the three knights. His fierce sword was known throughout the kingdom, but even this steely soldier knew better than to travel Hemlock alone. You may each choose one person to travel with you all the way to the castle. Aye, but the forest is dark. The trees make the sky black. How will we find the castle? This time it was Alon who spoke. He was not as strong as Carlyle, but much quicker. He was famous for his speed. Alon left trails of confused enemies. He had escaped them by ducking into trees or scampering over walls. But quickness is worthless if you have no direction. So Alon asked, "How can we find the way?" The prince nodded, reached into his sack, and pulled out an ivory flute. There are only two of these, he explained. This one and another in the possession of the king. He put the instrument to his lips and played a soft, sweet song. Never had the knights heard such soothing music. My father's flute plays the same song. His song will guide you to the castle. How is that? Alon asked. 3 times a day the king will play from the castle wall, early in the morning, at noon, and again in the evening. Listen for him. Follow his song, and you will find the castle. There is only one other flute like this one? Only one. And you and your father play the same music? Yes. It was Cassidon who was asking. Cassidon was known for his alertness. He saw what others missed. He knew the home of a traveler by the dirt on his boot. He knew the truth of a story by the eyes of the teller. He could tell the size of a marching army by the number of scattered birds in flight. Carlyle and Alon wondered why he asked about the flute. It wouldn't be very long before they found out. Consider the danger of Hemlock, and wisely choose the one who will be with you on your journey, the prince cautioned. And so they did. The next morning the 3 knights mounted their horses and entered Hemlock. Beside each rode the chosen companion. For the people in the king's castle, the days of waiting passed slowly. All knew of the test, and all wondered which knight would win the princess. 3 times a day the king sent his song soaring into the trees of Hemlock, and 3 times a day the people stopped their work to listen. After many days and countless songs, a watchman spotted 2 figures stumbling out of the forest. No one could tell who they were. They were too far from the castle. The men had no horses, no weapons, and no armor. Hurry, the king commanded the guards. Bring them in. Give them medical treatment and food, but don't tell anyone who they are. Dress the knight as a prince, and we will see their faces tonight at the banquet. He then dismissed the crowds and told them to prepare for the feast. That evening, a joyful spirit filled the banquet hall. At every table, the people tried to guess which knight had survived Hemlock Forest. Finally, the moment came to present the winner. At the king's signal, the people became quiet, and he began to play the flute. Once again, the ivory instrument sang. The people turned to see who would enter. Many thought it would be Carlisle, the strongest. Others felt it would be Alon, the swiftest. But it was neither. The knight who survived the journey was Cassidon, the wisest. He strode quickly across the floor, following the sound of the flute one final time, and bowed before the king. "Tell us of your journey," he was instructed. The people leaned forward to listen. "The Hope-Knots were crafty," Cassidon said. "They attacked, but we fought back. They took our horses, but we continued. What nearly destroyed us, though, was something far worse." "What was that?" asked the princess. "They imitated." "They imitated?" asked the king. "Yes, my king, they imitated. Each time the song of your flute would enter the forest, 100 flutes would begin to play, and all around we heard music, songs from every direction." "I do not know what became of Carlisle and Alon," he continued, "but I know that strength and speed will not help one hear the right flute." The king asked the question that was on everyone's lips. "Then how did you hear my song?" "I chose the right companion," he answered, as he motioned for his fellow traveler to enter. The people gasped. It was the prince. In his hand he carried the flute. "I knew there was only one who could play your song exactly like you," Cassidon explained. "There is no one else I would have trusted to be with me all the way. So I asked him to travel with me. As we journeyed, he played your song. I learned it so well that though 1,000 false flutes tried to hide your music, I could hear your song above them all. It was with me all the way." And with that, the celebration began. So have you guessed by now what this has to do with our third grade Bibles? If not, feel free to pause now and talk with your family about it and come back. So the Bible is the Song of the King, or at least a big part of the Song of the King. So it's reading our Bible and taking it into our hearts that will allow us to hear and to follow the Song of the King. Okay, so now we are going to go to the homes of some of our third graders, and you are in for a treat. Here we go.
Hi everyone! Today we're on location with our friends the Princes, and we are celebrating Josie getting her Bible.
One of my favorite Bible stories is the one of the man that ran away from his home, taking half the share of his dad's money, and then in the end he ran out of money, so he had to come back.
And what happened when he came back?
His dad was really happy.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. I love to picture like the dad running as fast as he can, in probably like a big Bible Times robe. Do you think he tripped? No, maybe. I wouldn't have tripped.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I'm so glad that you have been reading those Bible stories and thinking about them.
Yeah, we were going to say just a little bit about Josie, and then we chose a life verse together as well. So
Yeah.
I'll let Sherry start.
Yeah, when Josie was born, she was actually born really early. She was only 2.5 pounds. Hard to imagine now. But yeah, right away the nurse told us that she was a feisty fighter. And yeah, it's kind of a crazy start to her life, but she's grown into a really strong girl that we're really proud of. She loves playing outside with her friends in the climbing tree in our front yard. She loves reading and she's a very good older sister, and yeah, we're just really proud of her.
And the life verse that we kind of chose together, last night we were looking at some verses together as a family, and Josie chose Isaiah 40. And I think because she has this real affinity to like the natural world and to animals. In fact, don't you have something in your pocket, Josie? Yeah. Yeah. So Josie has always just loved creatures and creation, and yeah, which is something we just are so proud of, and think is so neat.
Do you want to tell them about your hamster?
Yeah, this is Willie, and he's 2 years old. And yeah, he really likes to sleep. And sometimes if he's in his cage and you reach out and pet him, he'll just like freeze and not do anything until you lift your hand away.
Yeah. So the life verse, should we read it?
Yeah. That's
Yeah?
great.
Okay, so it's Isaiah 40 verses 31, and it says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint."
Josie, were you going to show us your climbing tree? Wow. What a great tree.
You're a pro.
Wow, thanks, Josie. We're here today at the home of Charlotte Johnson, and we are giving her a third grade Bible. So we're excited to give you this Bible today for a couple reasons. One, because we're really excited about this particular Bible. I think that it helps kids your age get into the Bible and want to read it more. And the other thing is that, especially now when we can't, one of the things we do when we're together is we learn more about God's Word and what He says to us in His Word, and we can't really do that right now. So this will enable you all the more to do that all on your own.
So Dad's not here, he's on a hunting trip, but we did choose this verse for Charlotte, and we think it's kind of special, especially right now, just because this year has been so different, and it's been so different with not being in school, and now thankfully she is in school. But it's Joshua 1 verse 9, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous, do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go."
That's a wonderful verse to take through life with you, Charlotte.
So she's a pretty cool kid. She's thoughtful, she's considerate, she's very much aware of how others around her feel. She's been very curious about all the things that we do in church when we're at church. She's been very curious about communion for a really long time, and she really thinks about everything that we tell her, and she's just a really, really cool kid.
Thanks. Charlotte, did you have some things that you wanted to show us that are special to you here in your house?
I see your lessons.
Beyond your brother and sister, of course.
Do you want to show them your bedroom? Do you want to show them your Legos? That would be cool.
We have a ton of Legos
Oh, I love Legos.
in the office.
Okay.
We dumped them all out.
Wow, look at all those Legos.
They're all parts of Legos that we've built, then they've got put into the bin and then broken up.
Cool. I love Legos.
Yeah.
Fun. Do you have any creations you want to show us? Lego creations?
Well, I made this truck just a couple days ago,
Uh-huh.
Ooh.
Pretty.
and I made it with my grandma and grandpa.
Oh, fun.
Everyone, we're here with the Felgenhauers to give Melanie her Bible, and Melanie's going to introduce us to her family. Who do you have with you, Melanie?
I have my mom, my dad, and our family dog Lily.
Such a special family. Thank you for letting us be at your house today. We're here because we want to give you your very own third grade Bible. It's not just for when you're in third grade, but this is for you. If you look inside, there's a special bookplate on the very front with your name, and it's signed by Pastor John, so that you can always remember when you got your Bible.
So I'd love to share Melanie's baptismal verse with you guys. It's in Philippians 2. Let's open it up and find it. Let's crack this puppy open, huh?
Yeah.
All right. In Philippians 2, verse 12 and 13. This is your baptismal verse. Dear friends, it's called Shine Brightly for Christ. Dear friends, you are always followed my instructions when I was with you. And now that I am away, it is even more important. Work hard to show the results of your salvation, obeying God with deep reverence and fear. For God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him. So I chose that for you because your whole life you are shining God's light and God's love by how you interact with other people. You are a blessing to others by doing good works for Him, and that is the work that God has given for you to do. That's why I chose that for you.
Okay.
Well, I've seen in the last years that she really has a kind heart, and that makes us very proud. She's very kind to people.
That's a good thing to be.
All the help at City Gate, helping all those people in the community.
Did you have anything special that you want to show us?
Yeah.
You introduced us to Lily, so that was nice. What else?
I have this doll here,
Yes?
and I got it with my own money. I named her BB. I can turn on the light,
Oh.
and then I can do the music. Hi, people watching, and thanks for the Bible.
You're
Well,
very
we are
welcome,
very glad to
Melanie.
give it to you.
Mm-hmm.